The budget involves or includes opportunities in agriculture, in small business and enterprise development, in expansion in manufacturing particularly, and it provides opportunities through the airport, even now during construction and during operations in the future. It sets the platform for what will make Dominica the envy of the region. So, as has become customary, it is a well thought out, people-centered budget presented by the Honorable Prime Minister. And I would say, Prime Minister, Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit, you should take a bow, because no longer are citizens afraid of listening or waiting for budget. As in days gone by, I remember as a young person, everybody would be afraid when budget is going to be presented because they are what's in it for the community and what's in it for the country as a whole. So people look forward to the budget presentation. Mr. Speaker, I first want to begin by outlining the contribution of the Ministry of Sports, Culture and Community Development to our progressive incremental plan of realizing the dynamic Dominica. In the area of sports, Mr. Speaker, the ministry has implemented several projects and several successful projects, and not only projects, but programs which ensure the utilization of the various facilities that we are putting in place. In recent times, we have seen a hype in sports, an enthusiasm. To me, every community, every district that you go, sports is being played, sporting activities are ongoing, and the people of Dominica have been very excited about what is happening in terms of sport. Let me first take the opportunity to thank the Prime Minister for this policy measure of establishing the Sports Council and a trust fund, a sports trust fund that will be capitalized first by the government and with invitation to the private sector to make contributions. And this is the opportunity. I'm sounding the call to all the sports enthusiasts, all the private sector, that now is your chance to make a more meaningful contribution to the development of sports. There are many people out there interested in sports, and now is the time to really put your money, your contributions, where the mouth is. So we look forward to partnership the bleachers have been installed. In fact, it is 95% complete, and we will be opening it to the public very, very soon. And we would expect this facility to not only increase participation of the people of Massac and Maho and environs in terms of volleyball, basketball, netball, but we would expect this facility to also host national events and even regional events. It is going to transform the way sport is viewed because it is the only all-weather facility that we will have. So no longer will you have to cancel because of rain. It will also allow our players to meet standards, play at a higher level, because they will be allowed to practice in an appropriate facility and to play in an appropriate facility. So it has been an investment of already of over $1.2 million. That is very significant, and it indicates the government's interest in sports. And when you speak sports, you also speak of youth development. So we continue to invest in facilities that our young people of Dominica can enjoy and to be able to build in terms of their skills and talent and to put them on better career paths. We also worked on the continued rehabilitation and upgrade of the Windsor Park Sports Stadium. This involved construction and testing of the new pitch. We worked on the outfield. We also rehabilitated the outfield, yes, to a tune of $117,000. The electronics cupboard at a cost of $1.2 million, so we purchased it, we rehabilitated the base, reconstructed the base, and all of that to procure sheep, everything, cost $1.2 million for just this cupboard. We also have worked on the new system for security, the new security system, the fiber optics for worldwide internet, and all of the soft things that we need to put in place to ensure that we have a facility that we can once again be the best place for hosting international cricket. And so we look forward later in the year or after we are relieved from the COVID-19 pandemic that we can host international games. And so we have spent over, let's see, yes, if we calculate, we would have spent pretty close, by the end of the project, we would have spent pretty close to $1.7 million. Another important facility, and it has created so much excitement, particularly in the constituency in Roseau Central. When I work late at night at the ministry, you can hear all of the excitement going on, the young people practicing on the court. And since its commissioning, we have seen several national events, including the recent basketball events taking place at this facility. And I know I do not even want to explain to you what that means for the people of Roseau. My colleague sister here who has championed the cause will, I expect, will really give you all of the details and benefits of this facility to not only to Roseau, but to the nation. And we have already begun realizing some of those benefits. It has really created excitement among our nation for this facility. And so thank you, Honorable Melissa Skerrit, for your interest, for your support, for championing this cause, and for bringing this transformation to Roseau and to our country, to the city. And so far, by the time we would have finished this project, we would have been spending, over $1 million. I don't have the figure, the actual figure, but we would have spent much more than $1 million. We also have been working on the continued upgrade of the Geneva playing field, and this was spoken about by the Honorable Palrep of Granby. And so far, we thank FIFA for the first phase of work that they contributed $150,000, but the government is spending an additional $500,000, just below $500,000, to ensure that we have a proper playing field, and again, which will not only serve the communities of Granby and environs, but probably the entire South, and even for national game, because it's going to be one of the best playing fields in Dominica. We started some work. We started working on the preliminary work for the Colliho playing field, and in this year, in this financial year, we will continue working on the Colliho playing field. We also were fortunate to partner with the NAO office, National Authorizing Authority, and the EU with some savings, so they had some funding, and through that we were able to work on the fencing of the Lindo Park in Goodwill. So this has helped to, and we will continue working on the Lindo Park in terms of improving the infrastructure there. There is also a drain that brings water to the Lindo Park. So if at that point we need to address this issue before we continue any works on the Lindo Park. But already the fencing makes a huge difference. You know, to have the beautiful hospital in vicinity and you have some broken down fencing, it doesn't look good. So we have done some work that has contributed to the upliftment of the Lindo Park, and we also work on the bust and the entire little roundabout, upgrading it so that the whole environment, the whole ambience can be uplifted. So we were also able to take on this small project, and we will continue. We also, the Ministry of Sports, Culture, and Community Development also supported a number of other projects, hard courts, by helping in the procurement of equipment like rims and so, clearing, providing duty-free, providing support for a number of courts, hard courts around Dominica. And so you would see that this hype is not just this hype in terms of sports participation and passion and enthusiasm is largely because the facilities are provided and programs are in place to also ensure its utilization. Further, through the Basic Needs Trust Fund, we were able to undertake also sporting projects. It has been mentioned earlier that there were one of the projects involved a hard court, the completion of a hard court at Mount Prosper. So if you go to Mount Prosper right now, you would see a beautiful hard court and also protected by walls there. So it was built with resilience in mind. Further, there was an investment of over $1 million for the Woodford Hill playing field and pavilion. So the upgrade of the playing field at Woodford Hill, and also under construction is a pavilion. And this project is about 90% complete. The sports division, as I said, even if you have the facilities, you need to ensure that they are utilized. We need to build on the skills of our people. We need to create the opportunities, the avenues that they can participate. And not only we as a government, but we also applaud the work of the various associations, sports associations in Dominica. And one of the things that they did during the downtime when we had the initial advent of COVID-19 in Dominica and everything was on lockdown or on limited operations, the associations used the opportunity to train online, to have a number of virtual programs to be able to build the capacity of their various teams and clientele. So we applaud them for that. The sports division, following this downtime, also restarted the various programs that we have at school. So at the primary schools, there is tutoring, training, and various competitive events targeting the primary schools. So 6 disciplines are taught at the primary school through the caravan, and also 7 disciplines involving the secondary schools. So no longer would we say that we just leave sports as, but it is very programmed, it is taught, and we are grateful for the continued human resource, and we would have heard the Prime Minister mention about additional coaches that's going to be provided. And that is very critical to one of our programs, because we recognize that the government recognizes that we have these programs at school, but you need continuity. And so there would be a gap in terms of community or continuity at the community level. And that is important even for our young sportsmen and women who we see thrive at the school, but they fall back if they do not have the opportunity to participate within the community. And one of the programs that we have is targeting the communities to be able to address that gap and putting in place community sports committees at each or in various communities, and we have established quite a number of these committees already, with the hope that sports continue from the school. You do not have this gap to the community and even at the national level. So we welcome the addition. That is another provision that is made in this budget. That is another policy measure that we welcome, the additional coaches that will be put in place. We will be working with the Dominica Olympics Committee for a partnership project for a synthetic track in Dominica. So a provision has been made in this budget to start this process, a provision of $250,000. So we will be working on a synthetic track for Dominica, which is going to be another way that we can attract not only national games but regional games. And you would realize that all of these facilities are also putting us in a better position to be for regional games and continental games. And already with the courts, the hard courts in Windsor Park, we have attracted the interest of hosting the OECS, ECCB netball tournament, and we look forward to that. So we are looking forward with all of this infrastructure and facilities we're putting in place. We are really helping as well to position Dominica in terms of sports tourism. And that's very important to us. And it brings me to the multi-purpose sports complex, which is delayed a bit, but which we remain very, very committed to, because this is going to be one of the major sports facilities that will attract regional, continental, and intracontinental games in Dominica and contribute to our goal of increasing tourism through the area of sports, because the sports industry is a multi-million-dollar industry that we can position ourselves to better benefit from. COVID-19 heavily impacted our ability for national representation overseas, but we want to commend the return. Like last year, our representation at the Olympics did not take place, but we are happy, and all of you are aware, the nation is aware, that we are represented at the Olympics in Tokyo. And we want to commend Thea Lafont and Denick Luke, who and the team representing us at the Olympics. And we also commend Thea Lafont for recording one of the world's best jumps in the early part of 2021. The triple jump event at the United States of America. So we commend her for that, and once again, she's representing Dominica, and we wish them every success. I also take the opportunity to commend Kevin Hodge. He has been selected, or he was selected to participate in West Indies series cricket, senior cricket team, and he did make his mark when playing with, when he toured Bangladesh. So we want to really commend him, and not forgetting Mr. Atanas, Alec Atanas, who also has been an excellent performer in the Windward Islands team. And all of these people, some of these people, I remember Atanas was part of the consultation and making some very valuable recommendations alongside the other members, other people who were at the consultation. Okay, thanks much. And off the field, we also commend Mr. Brandon Williams. I think he too is with the Olympics team, a former national athlete, and who took up the position of chair of the Athletes Commission of the Commonwealth Game Federation, and he must be commended for that. One of our own reaching that level. Our national men's senior football team also participating in the World Qualifiers. They went to Santo Domingo, and they were able to represent. And so what our hope would be is, with all of these improved facilities, a number of our sportsmen and women would be better prepared, better able, and to be able to represent us even at a higher level at those events. And as Mr. Honorable Edward said, one person making his mark in the world can brand Dominica and make it the place to look forward to, can bring a name and an image to Dominica. So through sports, we can achieve all of that. So we continue to work, and I want to take the opportunity to thank the staff of the sports division and all the associations, clubs, organizations, umbrella organizations that continue to ensure that step by step, bit by bit, we are thriving and moving up the ladder in terms of sports. And we remain committed to ensuring that Dominica will find its rightful place when it comes to sports, and Dominica can continue not only to have the OECS games, dead ball games, but to have international cricket return and to be the place in the region for a number of sporting activities. Like all other, we now turn to culture. We continue to ensure that our culture is preserved, and we do that by a number of strategies. We do that by the various training programs that we make sure that our young people know how to play the musical instrument, the traditional musical instruments such as the jingping, that they continue to learn the folk dance, so that down the road, in a few decades, we would not be able to say what is jingping or what is quadrille, but that our young people continue to participate. So we do a lot of training in the schools and involving the community. Some taking place at the Old Mill, but going out to the communities and school and doing those trainings. So these things continue. Here we train in drumming, assam, in ballet, quadrille, and in playing these musical instruments. And I was very elated, very happy to see we even had a jingping festival, and you would see so many young people now able to play the various instruments for jingping. Because one of the things that can happen, and one of my fears as a cultural leader myself, was to see there was a point in time where Crawford would have to play for almost every folk dancer on the north. It was a good thing that he never gets tired. So when you say Crawford, keep tired, sir. So he would continue to play, but with his death, if we had not trained a number of young people, that would be a loss. And so we commend the work of the cultural division in ensuring that we can preserve our traditional, tangible cultural heritage. We also do so by research and documentation, so that is ongoing. We were able to document a number of heritage pieces, and such as the National Artist Directory. We had a fourth volume of old Dominican photos, really. When you look at this, you can really understand the then and now, so that young people can have an appreciation of what life was then by looking at this and what life is now, the changes. By the architecture that we had before, and we also document those things the way we can capture the indigenous knowledge, because I often wonder why sometimes this hurricane passed and you had these old houses, their roofs so looking all rusty, but they kept up. So it means our people had some traditional architectural knowledge and skills that we need to retain. And so all of those things, we try to do the necessary research and documentation. You can also think of, for example, the various medicinal herbs that we have. And many young people cannot identify those, but we go to the shops, the stores, and we see that we buy them in the boxes as herbal teas when we can have them right in our backyard, and to be able to know the traditional uses, the medicinal purposes of those herbs. So research and documentation is very, very critical to capturing and preserving our indigenous knowledge, and so this work continues at the Arawa, at the Cultural Division. Despite the fact of COVID and the COVID-19 pandemic and its adverse effect, and the restrictions posed, where we did not have mass gatherings, but we were able to retain the spirit of our culture, the spirit of our festivals alive by having a number of celebrations. So we did just say, well, we can't do anything, but we went ahead and we were able to have our independence celebration, albeit on a much smaller scale. We were able to have our National Schools Arts Festival, and I'm not sure if it was because of the pandemic again, but there was increased participation in terms of the National Schools Arts Festival. Many more schools participated and were able to showcase some of their talent skills, particularly in the area of craft development. And we also celebrated our Dom Festa and our Emancipation celebration, which is ongoing right now, and will come to a culmination, I think, on Sunday. But right now, we are having activities to celebrate our heritage, our emancipation. And we hope that in the same way or in other ways, but observing the protocols, we will be able to also celebrate our 2021 independence with flair, and we look forward to doing so. I want to take the opportunity to thank Mr. Wadix for his effort. It seems there is a whole month of observing cadres. So he and his team, I really want to commend them for their efforts in terms of making sure that the appreciation of cadres is not lost in Dominica, because that is something very unique to us as Dominicans. And when you hear Chubby, it is still very unique. And I use the opportunity to commend the Midnight Groovers on the 50th anniversary this year. They have made a significant contribution to music and culture. We, in terms of infrastructural development, we worked on 2 projects, or we continue work on 2 projects, the rehabilitation of the Arawak House of Culture. And when you may just see the building on the outside, but if any of us would visit inside, we would realize the amount of work that has gone into rehabilitation of the Arawak House of Culture. And very, very intricate work at that. So it is labor intensive, because the Arawak House of Culture has to be soundproof. So there's a lot of cladding, and it is very beautiful work in the Arawak House of Culture. We have just procured the ceiling tiles that we need to put in, and the lights for the Arawak of Culture has also been procured. So sometimes in the near future, we will have our Arawak House of Culture project completed. The second project that we've been working on is at the Old Mill, the stage at the Old Mill. And it would have been a project finished already, but during implementation, there was need to change the design. So we do have some extra work to do on the first phase, and we are working towards that. And in this year, we will introduce the second phase of the project. We'll implement the second phase, which includes washrooms and dress rooms. And the various festivals that took place at Old Mill already shows that it has been very good and worthwhile work, because it's a nice ambiance to have your various shows, various festivals, and the stage has made a great difference in hosting or in having these shows in this beautiful venue. So we intend to do that, and we also intend to continue to do improvements at the Old Mill, so that we can even feature it as a heritage site, that when tourists come, there's so much to learn in that area in terms of our heritage, that it can become an important heritage site, that you can even take tourists there and do cultural and natural animation tourism products. So it can add to our quest to promote our various heritage sites in Dominica. As I said, we will continue on our research and documentation and expect to publish a number of videos featuring our various traditional music. One of the important areas that we need to focus on, in terms of culture is the creative industries. It is very, very important, and we cannot lose sight of that to preserve our traditional culture. But there's no reason why we cannot benefit more significantly from our heritage and culture through the creative industries. And that is an area we are placing, and we will be placing greater focus on as during this final fiscal year. We started some activities with that regard, and we partnered with CREED and OAS to begin to consult, begin to do the necessary research, and with a view of putting in place the necessary framework that would ensure we push and we propel the creative industries in Dominica. So we are in the process of putting this framework in place for the transformation of the creative sector in Dominica. And there's much money, there's much opportunities, there's much enterprising activities that we can gain through the creative industries. We realized even during the COVID-19 pandemic that Kalin XP took the opportunity to advance in terms of the creative industries and market herself appropriately. So there's much funds that we can, our people can get into many enterprises related to the creative sector, our arts and crafts, our cuisine, our fashion, our Creole fashion, all of those things, our talents, to dip into our talents and to really market and promote our heritage and to earn increased income for it. So that is going to be one of our areas, and that is why even in terms of the National Cultural Council, we have ensured we put people in place who can bring new ideas, new blood, new passion, and to be able to really chart the course as we try to preserve our culture, but also more fully benefit from creative industries in Dominica. As well, we will be working with the UNESCO on a project that seeks to broaden participation in terms of our intangible cultural heritage. The cooperative division...
19 more minutes.
Okay, I'll need more time.
Mr. Speaker, I move that the honorable member be given additional 20 minutes.
Second, Speaker.
It has been moved and seconded that the Honorable Minister Paul be given an additional 20 minutes. Those in favor? Aye. Those against? The ayes have it. You are given an additional 20 minutes.
Thank you. Okay, one of the activities, or one of the projects that we spoke of in our manifesto, that is the Dominica Labour Party, and now the Dominica Labour Administration would like to implement, is the Cultural Heritage Center with multimedia studios. And so in this year, we will bring some preliminary work efforts towards the construction of that. Already there's been discussion, and we may have a potential sponsor as we seek to establish or construct our Heritage Cultural Center. So this will be another project that will get some attention as we prepare and try to mobilize the necessary resources to do so. In terms of cooperatives, the cooperative division has made progress, and very recently there was, as part of Cooperatives Week, there was an exposition which indicated how much through cooperatives we can create employment and we can add value to a number of primary products and create employment and that the cooperatives can create employment for themselves and others while also contributing to the expansion of the rural economy. And so the cooperatives division has been working with a number of groups. They worked with 5 new groups: the Grand Fond Group, Point Michel, Woodford Hill Production and Marketing Group, Grand Bay Farmers Group, as well as the Northeast Secondary School Cooperative Study Group. And we were able to register 2 new cooperatives this year, the Woodford Hill Productive and Marketing Group and the Grand Bay Farmers Group. And by coming together, it gives this group, these groups have already been doing very well, I would say. In fact, I was able to, they've been adding, the Woodford Hill group have been adding value. So you can actually just purchase your soup pack. I did purchase your soup pack, and busy people like me on a Friday, I'm so tired. So the next day, I simply opened my soup pack and was able to put my soup pack in the pot. And so it's a way, it has the linkages with agriculture, so they can purchase agricultural goods, they add value, and they've been doing some very good work, and they also are involved in garment making. And so through the cooperatives and through the advance, we see more interest right now in cooperatives because people now realize or understand how they can come together and to be able to pool their resources, work together, and create employment and wealth for themselves and their members. And we have a very good example of cooperatives in Dominica, the Dominica Essential Oils, who has been exporting their manufactured products. They've been established since the 1960s, and they are still doing well and thriving. And they were able to trade or export over to the value of over $1 million. So this indicates that we have success stories in the area of cooperatives, and some of the groups begin to understand that, and we are increasingly having more cooperatives in Dominica. So the cooperative division has been training, has been sensitizing, and working with these groups to get them to add value to products, to get them to market their products and the likes, providing technical support. And so we are happy for that. One of the groups they've been working very well with as well is the Bells Farmers Group, and the work the Bells Farmers Group is doing is very tremendous in terms of all whatever they do with the dashing. They preserve the dashing, they freeze the dashing, they do different products with the dashing, they do local cuisine, a number of recipes with the dashing. They have their own recipe book, and we are helping them to get to, well, they have their goods on the local market as well, and we are helping them to at least get into the export market shortly. So they've been doing very well. Another group is the Cocoa Producers Cooperatives of the Northeast, and their goal is to expand cocoa, and we all know the potential of the cocoa industry in Dominica. And so through these cooperatives, we have been able to really help to expand economic activities at the rural level. In terms of community development, the work of the local government and local authorities, a prime focus of the ministry was, as I say, building strong communities and helping our communities to be more resilient. The local government office worked very closely with CREED as we help to build community resilience through local government. And that involved a lot of training, building capacity of the various village councils. It included upgrading a number of our shelters in Dominica, and so through this project, there was upgrade to seven emergency hurricane shelters. I think Point Michelle, Clifton, Penville, Cottage, Eggleston, Loda Old School, Cochrane Old School, Sinico Resource Center, Lower Penville Resource Center. There was renovation of these emergency shelters. There was also training of the various council leaders, council members, and the village council clerks to build capacity in terms of community resilience. Another very important project that was undertaken was alongside the local government. In partnership, they collaborated with the Ministry of Finance, and that was to digitize and enhance the accounting system in the local authority. Government has a lot of projects that go through the village council, and it is important building the capacity of the various village councils to ensure that we have more efficient, more effective systems of accounting. So that is an ongoing project, and that the various councils can benefit from, and we started, and it will be continuing in the new year. I mentioned the emergency shelters that was upgraded, but also a number of emergency shelters were also equipped in terms of disaster management. So the local government continued to partner with CREED, and they first targeted the 10 most vulnerable communities. You remember the earlier Honorable Alfred mentioned Soufriere was third and Good Hope fourth. So there were 10 most vulnerable communities that were identified. And CREED, alongside the local government department, has been working with these communities to make them stronger and to strengthen their resilience through a number of initiatives. We know also the local government reform. This has been something that has been talked about quite a lot, and I want to use the opportunity to inform the public that last year a cabinet subcommittee was established to guide the process, working closely with the Ministry of Justice to consolidate the efforts towards the realization of reform of local government system. And more we realize that some things need to change in terms of local government and local governance. So this is something we will give some increased attention this year. Okay. Yeah, thanks. Okay. We also did training in terms of strengthening the capacity of communities in terms of disaster management. And we know Maria has taught us, Hurricane Maria has taught us that proper preparation, even at the community level, and even the family level as well, is very important in terms of disaster management. So people have been taught, the communities have been taught as to how to put the community plans in place. We do training in terms of disaster management, various aspects of disaster management, and we also teach families how to put their plan and sensitize them on those things. So these were some of the works of the local government department, and in terms of community development and even in terms of preparation of emergencies, we have to say that we are better off in terms of shelters through the intervention and the investments of this government. In two ways. One, with the improved homes in Dominica, improved houses, there is less need for many people to go to emergency shelters. So they can shelter at their home, and this is very, very important. And secondly, in terms of the regional shelters that are being built, one already commissioned in Layu, and we have the Jimit shelter, and one is being constructed as well in Casibus. And so this puts us in a better position, puts communities and citizens in a better position when it comes to shelter. Added to that, there are other buildings that are multi-purpose, constructed by the government again. In Viejas, you have this really resilient building that can be utilized for shelters, but which is also very important to community development. So we have two new community resource center and the Trafalgar Community Resource Center. So communities, local communities all over Dominica are in a better position because of all of those interventions of the Dominica Labour Party administration. So when we speak, we are building resilience. Step by step, we are indeed building a resilient country. An activity that we were able to partner, another activity we were able to partner with the NAO office for, as I said, we want to improve the ambience, not only increase facilities or improve the Lindo Park facility, but create the ambience of the entire area of goodwill. New hospital, new Lindo Park, and then we also were able to benefit from the NAO resource input and partnership so that we reinstated the Cecil Roll bust located on Federation Drive, and to fix up the roundabout, do planting, replant, improve the landscaping, and I'm sure some of you passing through there would have seen the benefit of this project. And this is important as well to our history and culture, so that when our young people pass there, they'll be able to understand that this person, Cecil Roll, made a valuable contribution to our history in Dominica. And as I said, everything community we support, so a number of community activities or events or programs, whether in health, whether it was for administering COVID vaccines or doing PCR or doing community events. We continue to provide support in terms of tents, in terms of chairs, in terms of human resource and other things to support most community activities. So once the local government is called upon, we provide that support for communities. And so that is why we have these facilities to be able to, many activities would not have been able to take place without that resource support. I now turn to the Basic Needs Trust Fund. As you know, we implemented 8 projects under the Basic Needs Trust Fund to a tune of over $8 million. Under the Basic Needs Trust Fund 9, we implemented several of those projects. One of those was the Grand Fond storm drains, which is nearing completion. And a few Saturdays ago, I did go and visit this project, and this is a storm drain that runs almost through the entire community of Grand Fond. And it really has put Grand Fond and its residents in a better position in terms of flooding. So there were drains, there were catch pits, weep holes. So all of the infrastructure that you needed to put in place to ensure proper drainage of excess water that was a hazard in Grand Fond. This hazard has been eliminated, and with that injection of 1.1, almost $1.2 million under the Basic Needs Trust Fund. And I'm sure, yes, through BNT, Basic Needs Trust Fund, and I'm sure the Pal Rep of Grand Fond is very, very happy, and her people can sleep much better when they hear heavy rainfall. Okay, then we also, if you go to Goodwill, you will see a bit, if you knew we are the people, the Dominica Association of People with Disabilities had their office. They had a little wood building with a little addition of concrete. Right now, they are going to enjoy a major two-story building that you will see in place. And if you go there, I went there last week and I was able to, any person with a physical ability can access the entire building, including upstairs. So you have ramp going all around until you reach upstairs. And it really caters for these of our beloved vulnerable people. They have a nice hall to hold their conference. They have space to do their training. So they have a very good building because of the intervention under the Basic Needs Trust Fund. And we expended almost $1 million, $929,398 to ensure that they have this building. So the building is already, all the works, most of the works have already been done, and it will also have an elevator. So that is, it's really a building that these people, nobody can be denied access with that building. And I'm very happy for Mrs. Nathalie Rule and all of her organization and all the beneficiaries who are going to use this building. So this tells you that our government puts great focus. We leave nobody behind. No one is left behind when we do our programming, and we do look out for our vulnerable people. The Mount Prosper Primary School, it was mentioned by the Minister of Education. We implemented a project of $548,000 at the Mount Prosper Primary School. So it's Mount Prosper Primary School and sports facility. So
20 more minutes.
The school benefited, and also the, in terms of sports, the community also benefited from a sports facility. So we spent, as I said, over $500,000 to get this hard court and for the improved security and safety of our school children at Mount Prosper. The Woodford Hill playing field, I spoke to that on the sports, and as I said, we spent over $1 million there, and the project, the playing field works is complete, and the pavilion will soon be complete. I think it's about 55 to 60% complete right now, the pavilion. The Cassibro Secondary School produces production facilities, another facility that we undertook, and it is almost ready for commissioning, and we spent $632,217 for that. And that project is all very important in terms of what it seeks to do. It seeks for getting our young people more involved in agriculture. The 2 greenhouses were installed apart from the slaughterhouse. It seeks to get our young people interested in agriculture, interested in agricultural enterprise, so that it will not only benefit them, they're at the school, but you can have the multiplier effect in future, where we can have our young people with the skills that will, the skills and interests to get into agriculture. So it allows for that kind of skills training, vocational training at the skill level, at the school level, and to also prepare them in terms of CVQ certification. Yes, CVQ certification. Dominica Community High School extension to a tune of $1.2 million is about 80% complete. We hope before school reopens, by the time school reopens, we'll be able to commission this project. They benefited from an additional floor. So Community High School is no longer one story. Community High School as an extension that provided them with a two-story building, expanded space, okay? So, this is another project that the community and the education, our students will enjoy. The biggest project under the BNTF 9 was the Mount Prosper water supply, and this is ongoing. It involves a lot of work, but it is very important. So Mount Prosper is going to enjoy improved water, improved quality of water by the end of the project, by the end of this 2.1 project investment. And we also know Mount Prosper for an agricultural base, particularly in terms of vegetable production. So not only will households benefit from improved quality and supply of water, but agriculture can benefit from improved water supply. Agricultural production can increase and expand and improve in quality. And under BNTF 8, we were able to complete the Bacatel Font Saint-Jean water supply rehabilitation project that we commissioned a few weeks ago. And I know Dr. Daru was very, very happy for this Bacatel rehabilitated water supply. So all of those were projects, so you would realize the number of projects that the Ministry of Sports, Culture, and Community Development implemented, and most of which are either complete or nearing completion and will be commissioned very, very shortly. So the ministry implemented about 16 such projects in sports, culture, and various aspects of community development under Basic Needs Trust Fund. And not only that, the Basic Needs Trust Fund is also providing equipment for a number of projects from as early as projects BNTF 7. We are providing appliances to including refrigerators, fans, kitchen supplies, electric kettles, etc., microwaves, TV, radios, all of these. We are going to provide a number of appliances to Clifton Primary School. We are providing to Saint-Sauveur, or have provided to Saint-Sauveur Primary School, Mount Prosper Primary School, Cassibru Secondary School, and when the building of DAPD will be complete, we will also be providing equipment, appliances to them. We're providing greenhouses to the Pierre Charles Secondary School, Saint-Sauveur Primary School, Mount Prosper Primary School, and Cassibru Secondary School. Lab and equipment and supplies will also be provided, and furniture will be provided, as I said, to also Clifton Primary School, Saint-Sauveur Primary School, Mount Prosper Primary School, Cassibru Secondary School, to the DAPD, to the Dominica Community High School, and to the Pierre Charles Secondary School. So all of these institutions, schools, etc., will benefit from a number of appliances, furniture, and equipment of greenhouses. In terms, we'll also provide some auto mechanic equipment and supplies as well. And the Cassibru School will get its equipment for its slaughterhouse and supplies, okay? Okay, so the post office, we continue to do some work at the post office. As we would know, due to new technology, it has affected the usual way for the post office, and we are in discussion, and there are a number of new initiatives that will be undertaken
12 more minutes.
For the post office. This year, we will be working on the improvement at the post office. We will be installing a new ceiling at the post office to really improve, 10 more minutes, improve facility.
Mr. Speaker, I move that the honorable member be given additional 10 minutes to complete.
Second, Mr. Speaker.
It has been moved and seconded that the Minister, Honorable Paul, be given an additional 10 minutes. Those in favor? Aye. Those against? The ayes have it.
An important priority initiative for the post office will be the launching of the U.S. mailbox service. Traditional mails have declined over the years, and so we need to offer other products and services which can serve as a catalyst for development. We also would want to have a code for Dominica, and we will be working towards that, among other priority areas. Now I will turn to, for the rest of the time, turn to my constituency, to the Paybush constituency. I really want to use the opportunity to shout out, to greet, recognize my people from Paybush, Anzimbe, Benz, and Solda, Kalibishi, my dear constituents who are so committed, who are so loyal, and who are so patient in terms of, they do not make us stress, but that doesn't mean they do not have the many needs, but they are very loving people, and they love the government and understand that the government is working for them, even if some things, they know that even if some things are delayed, once the Labour Party says it will do, we get wrong to doing so. I want to, I know that the Paybush constituency continue to benefit from the programs, plans, and policies of the Dominica Labour Party. And very soon, we will be commissioning our new Anzimbe Health and Wellness Center. This is one of the 12 health centers, and I think it's probably the health center that was constructed most quickly. It was as though this thing just, every day you pass, you just see something happening. And we hope to commission this, and this is a facility that is going to greatly enhance the health services for the people of Benson, Zimmer, Solda, and even environs. So we expect improved care services, and very importantly, we know that the facility has nurses' quarters, so the nurse will have, there will be the nurse right there on the premises to serve the people of Benz and Zime and Solda. Right in vicinity, one of the most articulated needs and one of the priority projects for me in this term of office is the jetty, and the Anzime jetty, which has traditionally been one of the economic hub for the area. For years we have this jetty, but it really needs attention now. We need a new jetty, and I continue to, we are in the process of doing the designs and also trying to mobilize resources as well. We have submitted a project which I think is finding some favor soon so that we can build this jetty. So I envision the area with this new health center, this new jetty, and lights on the playing field. Just imagine Anzimbe. So that's how I envision this area, and is working towards that. We have constructed for the Ministry of Tourism, and I thank the Ministry of Tourism for our newly constructed Benz Tourism Reception Center. We know Shodia Pool is a highly visited tourism site, both by locals, Dominicans, and visitors. Like to go and enjoy the Shodia Pool. And Shodia Pool. I know a short there to be a big pot, you know.
Yeah, that's the name, so you don't have a
Yes, I know that's the name, but I just explained what it is.
Yes.
It's Shodia Pool. It's a highly visited area, but one of the issues is access. The access road is in a deplorable condition, but I have visited with the Ministry of Tourism, with Public Works, and we expect that to be one of the priority projects, probably as soon as budget is over, to be addressed. And this Shodia Pool Road is not only to the tourism site, it serves farmers in the area, and it also takes us to the Ben's water intake, and we know that too has been one of the major projects improving the access. It was mentioned this year, but this year it is under the PSIP. Provisions have been made, and so we will deal with this road that has triple purpose shortly. We also expect improvement in the Calibishi water supply. This is provided for under the WASCO DFID 1 funded project, and so I call on my constituents in Calibishi to just be a little more patient, but this is in the making to improve your water supply. The Savannah Middle Ridge Feeder Road. That has been a road on the books for some time. It was on the BAM, and I am happy that this is probably the only road going to be addressed with the balance of funds under the NAO. So we would, under the BAM. So I've been advised that the estimates have been submitted, and contracts are expected to be signed soon for that road. So Calibishi farmers, I know that's an important road to you. We know that Calibishi is it's in the agricultural belt of Dominica. You have been contributing significantly to agriculture, and your Savannah Middle Ridge Feeder Road is going to come at last. So I thank you for your patience, and we look forward to this road. It is also this road, Calibishi being a low-lying area, it is also going to be an important link road in case anything happens on the highway. Okay, the Ben's, we have been working with the Village Council. It's a joint community project, and we are happy that the downstairs of the Ben's Resource Center is almost complete, and which will serve as a hurricane shelter and also for community events. So through an injection of funds through the Prime Minister for Labor and provision of supplies from the IOM, we have been able to make significant progress in building the downstairs of the Ben's Resource Center and to serve the community within the next few months. So it can serve as a hurricane shelter and for community events. The Calibishi Primary School, yes, the Calibishi Primary School, the current state of the primary school, you know, the school was demolished quite a while, and they are in the area that was used for adult education, and increasingly it is deteriorating. So that is why I am happy that before the year ends, before the end of this fiscal year, we would be able to see commencement of the new Calibishi Primary School as one of the 6 schools to be funded by the People's Republic of China. And we thank our this friendly government to Dominica for committing to this Calibishi Primary School and 5 other schools to be built. We recently completed the Belmanier Wall to a tune of approximately or just below $400,000, and it is a really good piece of work. We thank Leonard Paul, the contractor. It has really improved the ambience, but it has also ensured that it has made the road very safe or much safer. Paybush is on a ridge, as you know. I'm not sure if anybody doesn't know Paybush. Paybush is on a ridge. I also have bends on a ridge, and what you find, and even in the entire office, there are a lot of vulnerable areas of road. There are a number of undermined areas. And while I knew Belmanier area was hazardous, is when we started the project, I realized, well, we were really driving on a trap. So this wall is very, very important, and there are a few others that we will undertake to improve the safety of Paybush, Benz, especially those communities on a ridge. And already there is an approved project to address another vulnerable area leading to the school road. I always fear, because a number of children pass in that area to go to the school. But the people will be happy to learn that the project has already been approved to construct a wall in the road, in the area of road leading to the Paybush Primary School from Buko's End. Then we also have a similar situation in Benz, and we will address or build this Benz wall and drain in this upcoming year. Housing remains an important priority, and you know this is the housing government, a government who understands the plight of our people and has, in an equitable manner, been addressing the housing situation. Often you would hear people complain, and recently I was having a discussion with some teachers to tell them
10
that
more minutes.
government doesn't, thank you, yeah, that will be okay for me. The government ensures that it provides for the various strata of society in terms of housing. So while those who will never be able to face a bank receives a house, we also provide government low interest housing loans for government housing for those who are in the low income of public servants. So I was explaining to the teachers that we do address the issues in terms of housing, and I was elated to hear of the Warner project to come on stream that will again address the needs of housing of public servants. But I just want to place on record that often there's the misconception that we only cater for probably the most vulnerable. But no, through the various housing programs, we have been able to cater for the different stratas of society, and probably we do not say it enough. And so in Paybush, we are at this time completing 12 new homes. We were first provided with over $600,000, and we just received $333,000 to complete these 12 homes. But as you know, as every other community, the housing needs is a critical issue, and I just want to tell the others that you will come in phase 2 and phase 3 as we continue to build safer homes for our constituents, for our citizens in Dominica. And we will also be getting our share of the pie. $57 million has been provided to the Ministry of Housing, and the constituents, people of Paybush, Belmanier, Mopak, people of Simon and Benz and Zimbi and Kalibishi will be pleased to know that already the Prime Minister has approved for Mopak Housing Development, 20 houses, Simon Housing Development, and when we look at Simon, it is a little community that we are really seeking to upgrade and enhance the life of the people there. And so we'll be doing a housing development in Simon that we can raise the status and quality of life of people in the Simon and Benz area. And Kalibishi is targeted for some 24 units apartment buildings. We are pursuing the land. Government will have to acquire lands for the Kalibishi housing development. So we will get our fair share of the pie. I also know there are some beneficiaries for the government housing program funded through the World Bank. It's not World Bank housing, it is government housing program funded through the World Bank. Some people will benefit from that. We do not want any misconception as to whose program this is. This is a government program. I am elated, I'm very, very happy for the 16 young people in my constituency who benefited from the under 40 housing grant program. Quite a number of young people have benefited, but it also indicates that quite a number of young people in the Pebush constituency are building homes for themselves, are building new homes, and were able to benefit from government program. I really applaud these young people. When you have 16 young people under 40 building homes, you really have, and just in Pebush, you have 12 of these constituents. Pebush young people, you are progressive, and I really want to encourage you, and I was really happy to know that you have benefited from this program. At one time, the minister told me, but Pebush, you have all that and things. So it tells about the progressive mindset of the people, and I just want to encourage you as young people. We also distributed windows and doors. Some 26 households benefited from the distribution of windows and doors. The cassava plant in Kalibishi, as the government focuses increasingly on agro-processing, you heard that we see that there has been increase in manufacturing, and we know through manufacturing we can also improve export and foreign exchange earnings. So that is an area of focus of the government. We can also add value to our primary products, and so that is why I'm happy that the cassava plant in Kalibishi is nearing completion. I often stop here and see what's happening, and I want to thank the Ministry of Agriculture and for this cassava plant, and already the agro-processors in Kalibishi have put themselves in a group, and I had a meeting with them, discussion with them, and they are looking forward to really working this cassava plant and increasing production in the area of cassava and other virgin coconut oil and all of that, and to be able to maximize the use of the cassava plant. There's also a women's CMOS group in Kalibishi, and I want to thank the Fisheries Ministry, the Fisheries Division, for working with this women's CMOS group in the implementation of a project that will seek to get them to cultivate CMOS and to produce more CMOS. So Kalibishi is increasingly becoming a little hub for agro-processing, and I am committed to working with you for your advancement and for economic activities such as these in my constituency. So I really want to commend the agro-processors, this women's CMOS group of Kalibishi, and to maybe get them to even increase or improve their export potential. In terms of agriculture, you know, as I said, it's an agricultural belt, Kalibishi, and just recently I was looking at the list that was published for livestock support in the Sun newspaper, and you could see Kalibishi dominating in terms of those identified for receipt of support. And so far, 151 farmers and fishers from my constituency benefited from the Emergency Agricultural Livelihoods Project. And as I saw as well the list of support for livestock and things like poultry, I am very happy for the measure this year in terms of incentive for those going into hatchery, and hope that even those in my constituency will take advantage, because that's a very important measure. And if we increase poultry, we are increasing our food security, we are increasing our import substitution ability, and we'll have less money going out, we'll become more self-sufficient in terms of our production of food. So we have been benefiting, we benefit from the National Employment Program every month, $96,000 goes through the village council for payment of the NEP staff. And this doesn't include those that go in on the personal account of these people. So that tells you how much through our NEP, government is providing employment and support to families and communities in the Pebush constituency, like many others around Dominica. The NEP is a very important program for the people of Dominica, especially those who would traditionally be unemployed and unable to provide for their family. And I want to commend my NEP team because they are there, they are very conscious, very sensitive. Not only do they just look to do like their community work, they organize themselves together sometimes and do outreach. They go and feed the elderly. Sometimes they might come together and go do a kutme for an elderly person. They help if we are doing a kutme road. So I really want to commend the NEP because they have a love and passion for the people. Also, the international airport is one that is going to be, we are the neighbors. Kalibishi is the neighboring, Pebush constituency is the neighboring constituency. And we have been positioning ourselves and will continue to position ourselves. So already my contractors and builders are already benefiting from the airport, my truckers, and so we see many more opportunities to come. And we are already benefiting from that. So the airport is very dear to us. And I encourage the people of Kalibishi, Pebush, Benz to also position yourself when the project continues and becomes operational. So that international airport is one of the missing pieces that will bring all of what the government is doing in its holistic approach to development. It is the centerpiece that will link the hotels, agriculture, trade, and the likes, so that we can benefit, maximize, and improve our country's chances at growth and development. We also have the Marigot Hospital. I don't want to say the Marigot Hospital. Okay. We have a new hospital in the Northeast Hospital located in Marigot. And Kalibishi people, because of that, you will have to travel less to Roseau to do dialysis. You will have improved services. So my constituency is going to benefit from improved services.
One minute.
Not just from the health center, but also from the Marigot Hospital. I'll need just 5 minutes and I round up. 5, sorry. Because I cannot talk to sports, yeah?
That the Honorable Rosalind Charles, Minister, receives an extra.
5.
Rosalind Paul receives an extra 5 minutes to conclude her presentation, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker.
It has been moved and seconded that the Minister Paul receives an additional 5 minutes.
I'll read.
Yes. Those in favor? Aye. Those against? The ayes have it. You are given an additional 5 minutes.
All right. So, as I was saying, because of our location, we stand to directly benefit not only from the international airport, and as citizens of Dominica as well, but also the hospital located in Marigot. So the people who go to live in Kalibishi and surroundings will be able to access improved services as well. In terms of education, I have 2 other areas that I would want to speak to quickly. In terms of education, my constituency continue to benefit from all of the programs of support for education. I will not go into details. We know uniform, transportation, everything. But I will make mention that 127 students receive laptops in the constituency. We also 41 all college students receive support for transportation, and for 1 semester we spent $41,000 to assist these students just for 1 semester. And 11 students are currently pursuing university education through support from the government of Dominica. That will bring to about 33 students within the last few years who have benefited a university education with government support. I want to commend Ms. Naira Remy, who received honors at the State College, and Ms. Kimora John, who was so happy. She articulated her appreciation very well during her valedictorian address. So she was valedictorian last year for the Midwestern University. I continue to work with my sports clubs very well, and have been working with Benz for the hard courts. They have just received some very modern rims, rims that you can turn it and you play netball, and you turn it back and you play basketball. So they have these rims to be installed. I'm also working, yes, interchangeable rims. And Benz has benefited from that, so we continue to work on the hard court and the equipment for them, or with them. I also work very closely with the Pebush Basketball Club, and on Saturday we will be doing some work on the fencing at the hard court. So they have some very young, hardworking young people in this sports club, and they take initiative, and I provide the support, and we have been able to do so well together. When you speak Pebush, we will play cricket on the hard court, and that was a buzz for several weeks. It brings the community together, and I really applaud. I also applaud the footballers and cricketers from Calibishi. So I work with the sports club to incrementally improve facilities for them. I want to take the opportunity. Just Sunday, you would have seen the Super Eagles of Pebush in action. And when I tell you these people play basketball, they play basketball. And almost every young man in Pebush, and you know, we probably underestimate the value of involvement of these young people in sports. You hardly have delinquent behavior among the young people of Pebush. We have 4 generations, call it, of basketball players. The young one, the bigger ones train the younger ones, and every Saturday morning there's a training program led by people like Lenin Paul, David Alexis. I also want to commend national basketball player Shama Felicite. You remember I don't know if many of you see how he dunked the ball way above. This is a young man of great potential. So I am very happy with the work and the passion of the sports club. And we don't only impact Pebush. When PSS won the basketball championship among secondary school and the Dominica State College, it was the Pebush team that won, because 12 members out of the 15 was from Pebush. Yeah, from 9-year-old upwards, they play a good basketball.
1 more minute.
So I want to really just thank all those who have contributed to the development of my constituency, the Village Council, the community tourism groups, the disaster management committee, the sports organizers, the leaders in sports such as Jerry Williams and Dave Alexis, all of those, and John Fabian in Calibishi. I really want to commend you and express appreciation for your support and collaboration with me as your pal rep. With all of those, you see how long I took? that shows the tremendous marvelous work that we have been able to do, but we would not have been able to make it without the necessary allocation by the Prime Minister, Minister of Finance, to the ministry and the constituency. And in this project, we have the plans to continue on that path of success. So without any other reservation at all, I fully support the budget.
Mr. Speaker, I move that this honorable House be adjourned until Friday, the 30th day of July, 2021 at 10 a.m. 10 a.m., yes.
It has been moved and seconded that this House stand adjourned until 10 a.m. July 30th, 2021. Those in favor? Aye. Those against? The ayes have it. House stands adjourned until 10 a.m. July 30th, 2021.